And I do want to say that there looks like there's been some overhauling on the the Frith Chronicles Wiki page. At least the last time I looked at it a couple days ago. So definitely go and check that out. With that, we'll get into chapter 51, the second Ascension. We left off at Volke finding the ghoul arcanist, and Karna is kind of confused as to why her benefactor didn't request her to steal the runestones. And not even one, but all 12. It kind of seems like she could have done this.
Yeah, there's a few things. One, she obviously isn't aware of their importance before because she thought the King's Crown was kind of the big item. But I wonder if he was kind of spreading the love between a few thieves that he thought might have a chance at it. So
I have to admit, this is a pretty solid plan. At least whoever masterminded this, they did a good job of spreading the pieces to everybody and making sure nobody got the whole picture. So Adele just did find one letter that specifically stated that they are waiting for one specific Eldrin to achieve its dread form before proceeding with the plans.
And the dread form is something we have heard of before. It was also mentioned by Thiessen in his book of magical creatures as well. So that's kind of the other place that we've heard this mentioned.
And it only makes me wonder which specific creature that they're waiting. And again, for those that need a refresher, the dread form is the opposite of true form creatures that have consumed so much magic after getting the plague that they've basically altered completely. So,
and we saw this back in the Dread Pirate with the Gargoyle, who was in his dread form and nearly unstoppable.
Yes, very right on that. Karna was mostly thinking about Volke and mainly his mannerisms. And I'm guessing that if she needed to impersonate him, that she probably could.
She must spend just an abnormal amount of time focusing on people's mannerisms, knowing that maybe I'll take on a nurse, so I need to know how a nurse would act. So all these little social cues that I'm sure others miss, she is probably well aware of.
I could imagine the things that she notices from people just by walking by them, you know?
It's very strange to think through what it would be like to have that power. And
they got a little shuffle in their step, or they switch to the right on every fourth step or some crazy stuff like that.
They say this one specific word really weird, so you got to make sure you pick up on that one. Don't call him buddy, but
he's not your buddy, pal. So Volke finally goes to Master Zelfree with the letters, and for some reason, Blue's Clues just kind of pops into my mind of, we just got a letter.
I'm sure that's how Zelfree thinks of it too. Here comes my little Blue.
Find her thinking chair.
And I think this scene is very funny because Volke just shadow steps into his room. He doesn't go and knock at his door. He shadow steps into the room of somebody that he knows is a trained killer.
Right, and he doesn't think anything of it either. He's just like, meh, I'm going to go into his room. This is important enough. He won't mind. So Traces wakes up to this. Zelfree's passed out, and she's reading over these letters and instantly recognizes the code and deciphers them. So she does go wake up Zelfree, and she does it in the most cat-esque way possible by sinking her claws into his thigh and waking him up. So, it's definitely pleasant for him, right?
Yes, if you have a cat, I'm sure you've felt this before.
And something else that kind of recently popped into my mind is, I wonder if Traces is a polydactyl cat, where she has more than 5 toes.
She might be.
I know it's never explicitly stated that any of them are polydactyl, and most of them are stated that they have 2 different colored eyes. I think actually all of them are. However, I like to think, because polydactyl cats look awesome, they got the extra little beans on their toes.
Yes, a little extra lore to it.
So Volke reveals that he has been looking for his Blue's Clues, and Zelfree is beyond pissed of this, and Traces asks Volke to save him some headache and some heartache by just letting him know where they're at some of the time, at least.
Instead of just wandering into one of the most dangerous areas of the city by yourself.
Right. Like, again, how many times does Volke have to just wander off? And keep giving Zelfree this mini heart attack every time. So Zelfree does reveal that he has been doing his own hunting, And he did find someone bringing the plague into the city through plague blood. And we do find out that it was actually Lyle's friend Corey. And they plan on using this plague blood to cause a distraction while trying to steal the rune stones. So this kind of, I guess, goes full circle with everything else that's been going on, not only through the tournament, but with the underground that the plague arcanists were trying to dig through. And Luthair is livid to find this out. And he wants to know what the guild is going to do about it. And thankfully, the guild is already doing stuff about it. So it's not just put on the Grandmaster Inquisitor or the Steel Thorn Inquisitors Guild. Frith Guild is doing stuff about it as well. Yeah. Go Shammy for throwing all of them in there. All right. So we do want to thank everybody for listening today. We want to remind everybody that we do post a new episode every Wednesday morning around 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 Central, and 8 Pacific. And I'm sorry for those that live in Mountain Time. It's too difficult to keep track of what time you guys are at. So
they never get any love. It's always Central and Pacific.
Well, like if you live in Arizona, they don't go with daylight savings time. So
yeah, they're on their own schedule.
I digress. So we are on all podcasting platforms and on YouTube Music as well, along with the Google Podcast that is no longer a thing. We are on YouTube as well for videos, and we do want to thank our editor, Dan Mackison, for including pictures and links to everything. He does a really great job with it, adding extra to include additional information and to make this a little bit easier, a little bit more bite-sized for everybody. We do also have like each chapter released every day afterwards, so it's a little bit easier to listen. We do want to thank the Frith Chronicles Wiki as a great resource. And again, it's been recently updated, so check that out. If you want to reach out to us, we are on Gmail at frithguildpod@gmail.com or on Facebook or any other social media, essentially, at Frith Guild Podcast. And finally, links to everything is down in the description section for both podcast and YouTube. In 2 weeks from this podcast posting will be the interview with John Stovall, which is Shammy's husband. He's his own author and has his own series that we're going to talk to him about, along with kind of being there, seeing Shammy work on the series as well. So, Scott, did you have anything else you'd like to add today?
No, looking forward to seeing how the rest of this party goes. So,
all right, next week, make sure you got your seatbelts buckled in because we're going full throttle the whole time. So we'll see you guys next week.